Kate Monroe running in California, of all places, 49th District. She'll be joining us next. Then Gutter and Final Rant. Welcome back to the program. I don't have to tell you guys that the Republican Party is just weak in a lot of ways. They just don't have enough true fighters representing conservative values in Congress. Well, Kate Monroe, a former Marine, is hoping to change that.
I got the power of the star breather. You awaken the dragon, now you got my heart beating. These streets can't have these demons trying to leave you leaking. No weakness, God bless me with the legion. The queen of the south is bringing protection, cover it, keeping the section. A battle-proven Marine Corps veteran message. Vote for Kate, no more games, Monroe baby. Look, from North Dago to Laguna Beach, them boys, they match my energy. Look, there ain't nothing that you could do to me. I'm killing them.
All right, I'm going to put that up there as one of the coolest campaign videos I've ever seen, right around Dan Crenshaw's parachuting ad from a couple of years ago. Kate Monroe, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. You are a leader on an issue that is near and dear to my heart, but I have to. It's a formality. I have to ask you this question. I ask every first-time candidate this question. Then we can move on to other things. And that is, are you a vote to cut the spending? And when I ask that question, I couch it like this. We've got Democrats and Republicans who say they've cut proposed spending. So they say, well, we spent $80 million on that program last year. We proposed to spend $120 million, but we're only going to spend $100 million. See, we cut the budget $20 million. That's not a $20 million cut. That's a $20 million increase. So are you a vote to cut the spending?
I definitely am a vote to cut the spending, 100%.
Great. All right, let's talk about your work as the founder of VETCOMM and how you work for homeless and disabled veterans. How do we magically have the ability to house, clothe, and feed millions of people crossing the border illegally, but we have homeless veterans under bridges?
I mean, it's just about the political will to do certain things. I mean, this administration would rather bring migrants here for God knows what. They're cutting some kind of deal. There's profit and power and votes at stake, and they're more concerned with getting as many of them across the border as they can. If they could do it for migrants, you can trust that they could do it for our veterans. I mean, they just most recently reallocated the VA HUD-VASH program and gave it also to migrants. 161,000 migrants were seen in VA hospitals ahead of veterans as well. So there's no reason for it. It's just there's no political will on the other side of the aisle to remedy it whatsoever.
I honestly don't understand how Joe Biden is going to get veteran community votes. Look, I have political disagreements with the Seth Moultons and the Jason Crows of the world, but I always will respect and admire their service. Disagreeing with me politically does not mean I take anything away from your service. You served honorably, and in my book, you're a hero. But how could you stand there as a veteran who's a Democrat and justify what this administration is doing? I mean, most veterans separate their politics from their views as a veteran. How could any Democrat veteran stand for this?
Because they're trying to keep their seat and keep their caucus happy. They're just trying to do whatever the will is of those that put them in power because they want to stay in power. So they're willing to prioritize their own political agenda over their fellow veterans, which I feel is despicable, deplorable. It's not something that I would ever do. Veterans are my number one priority, but people have shady agendas when they get into politics, and it needs to stop. Veterans are a nonpartisan issue, and people need to wake up to that immediately.
Here's a basic question. Have Californians had enough? I mean, I get it. It's a progressive state, and you have your kind of lefty politics on some things, but at some point, right? I mean, we're not trying to turn California into the next Tennessee, although would be nice. Maybe some people in Texas would like it if the flow from California would slow down a little bit. Maybe Idaho, but you would think at this point, your state is 68 billion in the hole, or 38 billion, or whatever it is. They reconfigured those numbers. Your governor is paying for free transgender surgery for migrants, covering migrants under Medi-Cal. I know these are state issues you're running for the federal government, but crime is out of control. I mean, what is working in California, whether it's federal, state, or local?
I don't feel like much is working here at all. And when I'm out talking to voters, no matter what side of the aisle they are on, they're tired of it. They're extremely tired of the homelessness. This is a crisis created so that the homeless industrial complex can feed off of it and can make more money. Since we started spending billions of dollars here in California and across the nation for that matter, there's only become more homeless people. So you got to ask, like, where's all the money going? Well, it's going into the pockets of him and all of his friends. I mean, at the end of the day, Californians want to be safe, just like everyone else in the rest of the nation. They want economic safety, safety for their families. Here in San Diego, we are a border city. San Diegans want the border closed. Even in the Latina community, they want the border closed. They tried to escape a place where it was full of criminals and crime, only to let criminals, crime, and terror across our border. So I think Californians are definitely fed up 100%.
I just don't understand how people can keep voting like that in your state. I know San Diego has more conservative representation, let's say like LA or San Francisco or Oakland or whatever. But how bad does it have to get before you make a switch in the way you vote? I mean, your cities, like you said, overrun with homeless people, drug use. You've got major businesses that are pulling out of the cities because shopping, stealing, it's all the same to some of these local DAs. They even had a DA recalled in San Francisco, and the same thing is happening. I don't know if it's the same in San Diego, but I would imagine that voters in your state would finally get sick of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I have found many of them being sick of it. I am actually married to a Turkish immigrant who happens to be a Democrat. And if you listen to the two of us talk, you'd think we were on the same side of the aisle. You know, he came to this country legally, so he is not for illegal immigration. We have a 6-year-old son. He does not like all the wokeism in schools. I don't think we're as far apart as we think we are. If you look at a state like California, much of the state is red. But then you have these pockets where there's millions of people, and it doesn't take many more of those people, even just a little bit over 55, 60%, and then all of a sudden you have a blue state. When in reality, much of our state is red, and more of the people on the Republican side, more of you independents need to get out and vote Republican.
I agree with you. I got to leave it there. We got to get you booked in my radio program, but I'm out of time here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.